Okay, well, here we are at WAPX, your station for news at Apex. Okay, and I'm here with Olivia Ciummo, who has just returned from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, and she is physically back. I'm not sure if she is psychologically back. We will determine that as we go. Are you psychologically back?
Not at all. Not in the least bit.
Okay. then we'll start right in and take advantage of your vulnerability. So before you went, after you found out you were going, but like a week before you went, clearly anxieties, people have about, that kind of thing. You're going to be separated for a long time. Mm-hmm. But what were you thinking? What were your issues? Was it separation issues? Was it you just didn't know what was going to happen?
I feel like before I left, it was mainly just packing issues. It really didn't start any kind of feelings other than like separation or missing happened only after I arrived. I just got on that plane and I said, don't think too much. and that was it. Nothing really happened before because I was finishing work and there was too much going on.
Good. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then you get there. As you expected?
No. I don't know if I had any expectations yet. I think I was confused a lot. I wasn't sure how to get around. That was my first and largest issue all the way until 2 days before I left. So, yeah, I think that that I didn't expect the transit to be as it was.
Tell me about it.
Minibuses. It's a complex system of small, different colored minivans that go around Addis, and there's a driver and a gentleman who yells out the window the name of the area in which you're trying to go. But there's an extra, more confusing step, which is, can you get on? And that has to do with, do they want you on? Is there enough room? All kinds of things I didn't really decode just yet.
Did people realize you weren't Ethiopian quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you spent time in a different colored culture before an extended period of time?
Yeah, in Korea.
Ah, okay.
And Guatemala, I guess, too. Okay. Yeah, but not as long.
So you're used to sticking out?
Yeah. And you know this. But again, sometimes you have to, I felt like I kept going back and forth. Am I filtering things this way? Or is this really what's going on? So
what do you mean?
Am I filtering? I remember I was speaking to Larissa the first day I was there. There was a guy who followed me in a car. It wasn't a cab, it was just a car. And he followed me for about 20 minutes to my place. But I was speaking to you on the phone, and I was like, I don't know how to decode this. I don't know if this guy just wanted a cab fare, or if it was something that I should be alarmed by. So it felt like that's a lot of the time I couldn't figure out if it was me or really the way I was filtering things or what was going on, if I was right or not.
So what was going on?
Oh, with the guy?
Yeah.
All in all, after 15 minutes of following me and beeping and whatever, yelling to do whatever.
There's a good chance.
I just think he was a cab fare.
That he was trying to be your guide.
Yeah. This happened a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was never a day that I wasn't approached. But I really wished a lot more women would have approached me because I would have felt more inclined to maybe say, okay, take me to the church or something. But yeah, there was this, in this circumstance with the cab, there was just no, there was a language barrier. He spoke no English, and at this point I spoke no Amharic.
What did you feel about the role of women?
There was a lot of invisibility, I think. I think that's right. Because now every instance of someone I'm meeting on the street, they were all men. So it was hard for me to meet women. I did meet women, but more in familiar circumstances where I knew somebody that knew this person. And obviously, there are different classes in Ethiopia where you're dealing with folks who are coming from the countryside, and that's a different class than, say, Conjit's coming from. There's that, which is similar to the U.S. in some ways, you know?
It's very much a country in the middle of that transition now, because there are, of course, people that have a lot of money and really good internet connection, nice cars.
Yes.
And other people who, there's certainly a lot of poverty, but there are also a lot of people who are agrarian. So they're not dealing so much with the poverty of the city, downtown, and all. Okay, so you met Conjit, and she kind of gave you a lay of the land a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Well, it's been so long since I've seen her. Gave the lay of the land, but there was this thing with the housing, which I don't know if I don't know what, that was a whole wild roller coaster when I arrived, because I felt like I was stuck in the middle of being a visitor and just arriving, and having the woman who ran the guest house not know Conjit, but have this community relationship. They're not friends, but they know each other's businesses.
Everybody knows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I felt when I first landed, there was a lot of misunderstanding for me. I didn't know where to step in, where I was pushing my boundaries, so I just kept quiet. But after that was resolved, Conjit gave me some clues as to where to go, and she also we were discussing boundaries, I think, between the way in which she did the apex
Right.
time and the way I'm doing it now. So that was a lot of our interaction at first, which was, what are our boundaries and how do we do this? I was unsure. So after we said our goodbyes on the second day, that was the last time I had seen her. And maybe I had seen her one more time passing through her gallery and picking up lunch.
There are interesting cultural differences everywhere you go. So some countries you can get angry and yell and Italy.
Yeah, I was like,
and it's a normal thing. But then you go to other countries and you can act like that and they think you're a crazy American. How did you find the dealing with people? How did you learn to correct situations or to take charge?
I felt like that was really difficult for me, actually. Probably something I still didn't deal with very well until I left, because the last going backwards in time, the last day I was there, everyone insisted that my plane ticket could be this huge catastrophe. And we knew that the ticket was an issue anyway with this changing and all this stuff, but everyone had gotten into my head that this could be like disastrous with my visa and all this other stuff. So I started getting really paranoid and I kind of freaked out. But that was the only time I got explosive and freaked out. I was like visibly upset at the last day I was there, mainly because a gentleman that I met at the art school kind of wanted to pull control, and he's like, you have to go to the Ethiopian Air Office, we have to go down there now. And I just wanted to relax. and that did, and I didn't know, I just kind of let it happen, but I was visibly angry by going to the Ethiopian Air Office. But prior to that, I felt like I would just go with the flow. There were all kinds of things that I disagreed with, and I didn't say anything. There was an exchange rate that was going on at the guest house that I disagreed with, and then I was like, that's $20. I just can't even argue over $20 right now because I'm here and I can't.
There's also that thing, and not necessarily at a guest house, but you'll go to a relatively poor country and you'll bargain because, that's what you have to do. Mm-hmm. But by the same token, you kind of want to leave some money in the country because those people who are on the street bargaining with you, it's not like if you give them an extra 50 cents, you're going to turn their kids to nefarious ends.
These were things, I was into the bartering, no problem in the market. And I would understand fair prices and where we were supposed to go with the bartering. Mm-hmm. And this made sense and it was actually quite fun. But there were other times when other things would start. Cabs were a big issue. I mean, cabs in Addis were as expensive, if not more, than they are here in New York. So this was hard.
Is that for you as an American or for Addisian?
I don't know.
Addis Ababians?
I was told I was probably charged 3 times as much as what I heard was fair. And this could have been people even from, I don't know, folks that I was driving with for a while, and then...
It's an opportunistic economic situation.
Yeah, and these were... It made me sad, because I thought, and again, this is all going back to this self-reflect. I'm like, oh man, I thought we were cool. And we had a price, but then it wasn't like...
It's survival
sure.
for them. It's nothing personal. So how many days did it take you to start to feel like you were getting in the rhythm? Did it happen the first week?
No.
Okay.
I was still definitely lost the first week, mainly with public transit, trying to keep up with the schedule, because they all sounded like fun things to do, but sometimes I would get in a mini bus and end up somewhere and then give up.
And what did you do then?
Walked around and then walked home. Usually it was like, okay, well, I know how to get home from here, and I've walked around this plaza looking for a bus that might sound like it's going there.
And the level of fear or anxiety until you relaxed, or did you not?
I felt like it wasn't until I saw every plaza and could understand where each plaza went that I felt relaxed, and this didn't happen until the last week. Because I would get to plazas and then maybe I would misunderstand what the guys were saying, as far as maybe it was going somewhere close to where I was going, but it wasn't the exact word that I knew. Because it could have been like, oh, we're going to Mexico, which is close to stadium, or it is stadium. So things were... The places that the guys on the minibuses were yelling out may have had 2 names or 3 names. So that was something that I would go, well, I don't know, maybe this is going to the other side of town, and then what? So these things would, make me anxious.
Get back on a bus and you come back the other way?
Yeah, exactly.
Like a train? Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and then I would just walk. I walked everywhere because I felt like that was a good way for me to try to get around.
It's a good way to see things.
Yeah,
I always like
exactly.
doing that.
Yeah, so I walked a lot. I would say after I came back from Lilybella, that's when things felt normal to me. I was like, oh, now I live here, almost.
When I was in Lilybella, you could walk up to the churches and there wasn't any protective stuff, but apparently now they've put up so you can't fall into them.
Oh, no, that's not true. Okay. There's nothing around them, but UNESCO has put up these hideous tents.
Oh, to work on?
That cover so that the stone doesn't get dried out. But I'm like, hasn't it been in the sun for how many thousands of years now? Right? Hundreds of years?
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Tell me about Lilybella and
is this mine? Awesome.
It's not Ethiopian. Sorry. Coffee.
Lilybella was amazing. I feel like that's where I really came to in Ethiopia. It was right smack in the middle. I had the most amazing time there. I hiked 32 miles in Puma tennis shoes. I thought I was going to die. I had dysentery right before that.
There.
No, I had it in Addis right before I went to Lilybella. So I was sick before I went to Lilybella. I think I contacted you guys like, maybe I need to see a doctor, but I was like, I don't know. Do I have something? Maybe this is just regular, but it wasn't.
So you went to a doctor?
It kind of passed. I've had amoebic dysentery before. This was not amoebic dysentery, so you're cool. It usually passes.
Okay.
You just drink water.
So
don't eat more salads.
There's not I didn't feel a high religious thing every day, even though it clearly is a religious community. What were your sense? That is one of Larissa's questions.
Well, religion was around you, definitely. I mean, I feel like the really most interesting thing is I was always in between Muslim and Orthodox. Muslim, Orthodox. You're always in the middle of these two aesthetically. But yet, I wrote about this. I was like, semiotically, it looked so similar. There was all these like mixed messages for me because there's headdress, covering the head, and these things are all quite similar. Then I realized, wait, I've never eaten. What happened to pork? I know what happened to pork. It dawned on me. That's why I haven't had any pork. This is a religious thing, of course, shared between Muslims and Orthodox. It just didn't. I
Makes
just
it
didn't.
easy.
Yeah. I mean, it felt pretty natural to me. I mean, I felt nice. It felt good. I liked seeing people kissing churches, and that felt good. There was even a time that I almost did the sign of the cross passing a church, and it just like came out because I was brought up Catholic. But then I was like, wait. I'm not Catholic anymore.
I think one of the things that religion does there is maintain a certain sense of order, especially in regards to the men and boundary issues.
Sure. Yeah, that was definitely there. There was a place in some of the churches in Lilybella I couldn't go, but my tour guide went in and took pictures for me. So there was always this like really loose kind of. There was no law, so that felt good. That was why all the religious aspects felt good to me. Nobody had to. Mm-hmm. The only time that there was a a no answer for me, which was going into this one room in one of the churches in Lilibella, but the camera went in for me. It's no big deal. I wasn't bothered by that at all.
So tell me about your food experiences.
Oh yeah, it's great. I stopped cooking for myself very quickly because it was everything that I could make just seemed pretty gross at a certain point. I sometimes would eat at the guest house if I was really tired in the evening, because it's after walking throughout Addis all day, I just would get home and say, please, let's do that.
Temperature? The weather?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was dehydrated all the time and my eyes were burning.
It was around 80 during the day?
Yeah, 80, 81. It was awesome. I'm tan. It's great. Yeah, I loved it. But yeah, the food was one. I ate everything except, okay, wait. I did not eat two things. I wouldn't eat raw beef because by the time that came into my presence, I had already had the salad thing. So I thought, maybe don't push it.
The only thing is, and I don't know if this is really the case, but meat is a lot fresher there than it is here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they kill it in the morning and start selling it in the morning. So you might be better off there. I don't know.
No, I just don't eat raw meat in general. That's like pushing the limits for me. I almost did. I was pretty close, but then I was like, I don't know.
So you ate beans and you... Did your...
Oh, I ate tons of injera. I mean, I would opt to eat. Oftentimes people would think I'd want Western food, and I'd cringe. No, of course.
So what kind of places did you find to eat? How did you find them? Were they all directed?
Yeah, well, I ate at Conjit's place a lot because it was on my way out of where I lived into the city.
Not her house, but the cafeteria.
Her cafe, yeah.
Right.
So I would eat there because the food is really good.
Ah.
It's great.
What'd they have?
It's Ethiopian food, but it has a little twist to it. So you get gomen. I ate gomen a lot, and shiro.
What are they?
Gomen is collard, or it's a greens. Is it collard greens or some other greens? Yeah, and sautéed. Healthy, delicious. And shiro is lentils into a soup-like substance that you also eat with injera. And I'd eat fit sometimes, which is injera eaten with injera. I liked it sometimes, but it depends on how it was prepared.
Sure.
At her place it was good, but other places I wasn't too fond of it.
Oh, good review on TripAdvisor.
Other times, I mean, one time I ate in this bar, very local bar place during Tomcat, which was, I got into the middle of it. I asked I wasn't even sure how to approach the holiday because I didn't even know it was going on until maybe 2 days before, and I didn't know what to expect, so I asked one of the kids at the university if could I check this out with you? What's going to happen? Yeah, and it was the biggest party I've ever seen. And we ate at this bar fasting food that day, so this would be all the non-meat items. Everyone was fasting while getting drunk.
So I think you had mentioned something in your journal about people not wanting you to be alone, which is not an unusual thing. When you go around the world, people think that you're sad when you're alone.
Yeah.
And if you're an American, you're often happy when you're alone.
At bliss, yeah.
Yeah, so how did that work?
It was difficult. It depends on my mood for the day. One day I got a little cranky about it. yeah, I think I wrote about it. So I went to this place called Piazza, and I was going to have coffee, buy more beans. I was on my coffee tour, and I was also looking for records that day. This was a ongoing thing. So
Music.
Yeah, music records, because they're really difficult to find, but apparently you might.
Vinyl you were looking for?
Yeah, you might be able to find it.
Are you a vinyl file there?
This and that, but I really wanted to, I wanted to get some Ethiopian music that.
CDs, though, they have.
Yeah, CDs, but I wanted the records because it had a significance to making it through the tough times when there was suppression in Ethiopia. So that was something I was thinking. I didn't even want to purchase it. I just kind of wanted to see them, just to see. Anyway, so I was out this one day, and I was just, it was too much. I was asked every 5 minutes to be accompanied. And then finally, it was, I was worn down, and this one guy was like, please, this is my culture, I need to take you. I was like, okay, do you know where Tomoka is? The Tomoka's in this area. So yeah, he took me there, and I bought him a coffee, and then I was asking him a lot about records because he said he was a DJ. And I wanted to know where these records could be found.
Was he a DJ? Yeah, right.
I don't know, because I was like, so where can I see these? He's like, oh, everyone's dad had a big collection. And I was like, oh.
They wanted you to come home and listen?
I don't know. No, that was never offered, actually.
Okay.
But going to Mercado to find them. And I did go there with somebody one day to try to find them, and it was quite an experience because, he walked in, he's asking for the shakla, which was the records, the LPs, and this guy is running down to that guy, bringing back a phone number. It was a dead end, but it was still exciting to watch everyone come together because we're going to find this record. We don't even know of what, but of something.
Did you?
No, never.
There's generally a progression that we find with people over a month. The first week, it's a little bit like, oh my God, what am I doing here? It's an unfamiliar situation. If you could make art, you go into your studio and you make art, and then, it's comfortable again. But we don't, you do that, so you don't get that. And the second week, the fear is kind of abated. And there's a certain familiarity, and you know where to get breakfast maybe, or lunch or something. The third week, you're kind of in stride and feeling like, this has been great. I've learned a lot. I know it's not forever. And then the last week, it's like, oh my, I'm going home too soon.
Yeah.
So how did this progress for you, or did I just do it?
No, it was a lot like that, actually. Yeah, it was a lot like that. I would say that, but the first 2 weeks were a little back and forth. It was like my second day was great, and then my third day was total crap because I couldn't get anywhere, or, So those first 2 weeks were roller coasters in the same. One wasn't different than the other, I don't think. Week 1, week 2. But week 3 and week 4 were much like you said. No, definitely.
Did you find that people were open, friendly, empathetic? You went to the university.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was great. I would have liked to we spoke about it going more as an exchange, and that was something that I definitely agreed with, and I really pushed for something like that. But by the time the day came, I was like, this isn't going to go like that. I have a feeling, and this was a cultural thing. You don't have a visitor and have this kind of exchange. They're up on a stage. They're an authority figure of sorts. Which I respected, and I wasn't going to argue with it. So I set up something nice about a lecture on mise en scène, because that was what I heard most that's what they were desiring, the group, the master's students for film and video, and their instructor. So I thought, we can do this, why not? I asked them to bring work, but nobody did.
Oh, interesting.
Because that was me trying to push the collaboration, or not collaboration, but exchange.
Well, you learned what doesn't work or what does work.
Yeah.
We say to people that you will likely, and this goes for incoming as well as outgoing, you will likely be bored, lonely, depressed, and exhilarated.
During your time, yeah. I was definitely...
Give me an example of each.
I wouldn't say depressed. I would get upset. I don't know if it was depressed. Depression is another thing for me. I would say that I got upset or frustrated at times.
Angry, upset, and frustrated, or just
Yeah,
helpless?
I would. Yeah. Angry with myself, angry with what was going on. Like, why can't I control this? And I even wrote about that in some weird esoteric way about, adult children. And this was something that I know about myself, and it really came out during this trip. It's the being in control all the time, and I knew that I needed this, to be honest.
To lose control of it.
Yeah. It was. That's why I wanted to go. It was the first thing my husband said as much too, and he's the closest one. He's like, yeah, you need to let go of this control stuff a little bit.
And
yeah. I mean, there's tons of things that I'm just like reserved. There's a lot of things that I've rethunk. I mean, day 2, I already crossed off curator off my list of things I do. I don't do that anymore.
even though I want to get to the other 3 words, I want to get more toward, we find that a lot of people reevaluate what they're doing. I think more so in outgoing than incoming, because I'm not sure, but projecting that people feel they're around art that is more honest and connected. And what we seem to be doing is a very disconnected, work. And that seems to be a big theme that, God, why am I going to come back and make that?
Yeah, this is it's definitely. I didn't think about making artwork at all while I was there. It was something that we spoke about, and it was something that I felt it felt easy for me to keep that promise. Don't think about making work. Just don't get into that, because I didn't think it was the time or the place to be making work. And now that I've returned, I'm definitely, I don't know what I'm reevaluating, but I'm certainly reevaluating.
Yeah, I think it's less important really where we're sending people as much as we're sending people to a non-Western art culture. And that, I think, provides those best opportunities for reevaluating kind of your values, what's important. You saw a lot of nice family stuff over there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was just so many other priorities, and it felt less anxiety induced. I feel like I'm always stressed out and full of anxiety. But I think it's good for me. I came back, I was like, I have to start teaching. Maybe it's time to reevaluate. These are all things that came up first thing back.
I talk to a lot of artists about what they're doing, why they're doing it, whether putting that energy into that kind of object making is really the creative end that they're looking for, whether there's something that is more connected or not? Are you going to bring this into your class, and how will you introduce these issues? Without getting staff angry at you.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what I can say right now if we're being I'm going to take a break from teaching after the semester. That's something I'm definitely confirmed on. I don't know if academia is... It's something I've known for a while, but I think after this trip I went, oh yeah, there needs to be something else that happens after this semester. Something else needs to... Things need to change overall. And this has to do with, firstly, how I try to sustain in our practice financially, which is through teaching. There has to be something else. I just didn't have the courage to make the leap before. So yeah. And I like to follow through with things, and I already signed up for these classes, so I would hate to be that person this semester. So, but definitely it's gonna end for a while until it's configured in a better way, or just doesn't happen after all. Maybe I don't need to teach. I don't know.
Well, Conjit has done some of that, and you see what she's doing now. And we, of course, saw her a week ago.
Yeah.
Because she was here. And she really seems a lot happier doing that than translating, which is what she was doing before. And there is this thing that we're concerned what other people are thinking about what we're doing, until we realize they're basically not even thinking about us, but thinking about themselves, and don't really care what we're doing anyway.
You mean others in...
Well, as artists in New York,
Yeah.
We're thinking, what other people are thinking about what we're doing, how it's being received, why it isn't being received, all of that. And then at a certain point you realize that they're not thinking about you except on those situations where you happen to be put in front of their face. And there really isn't a great deal of interconnectedness in our art world, other than the name of what we're doing and putting it all under the same big top. And when you go somewhere else and you see art integrated into life a lot more, and put on a different level, not quite the star, even though that does happen with artists. You get paid in ego rather than money sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so did we hit low point and high point?
Oh, in the trip.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Low points. I feel like low points were mainly me dealing with logistics. I don't know why. It was almost like, again, this control thing. I'm like, I'm really good at doing this. I'm really good at managing these things, but they all just kind of fell apart all the time. And so it was really, those were hard things for me to deal with.
Were you trying to figure them out versus having somebody explain them? Which is okay, I mean.
No,
Kind of fun.
I'm trying to think. It would be. It's really hard to describe. Maybe it was like, okay, the way in which the day unfolded. I had this itinerary that I was trying to keep up with, and then I would end up at home, back at the guest house, and then I would run into the characters at the guest house. oh boy, some of the characters at the guest house. And I would get in these conversations that would make me feel like, oh, this is my time in Ethiopia, because I met a lot of people who were adopting children, and they also told me that they were called upon by God to do this. So this was often a hard conversation for me, and then I would get agitated that I spent like an hour doing that, having this conversation. So I guess that's what I meant, that something in the day fell apart. I ended up back home, which I was perfectly fine with, and then it would be like scoop up into this strange conversation, and I would feel conflicted in a lot of ways about what was being said, but I just listened.
Americans?
They're
or
Americans. Yeah, Americans, Europeans. Mostly Americans were the ones that God spoke to.
You didn't hear anything, though, did you? No. And the high point?
A high point, yeah, really, I felt like Lalibela was a point where everything felt so, everything went together so seamlessly. I felt so comfortable there. I didn't know the place at all, but for some reason I just felt completely at ease. And that was unlike Addis, and that could have been city versus rural, definitely. I walked around in pitch black in Lalibela without...
Lucky you didn't fall into a church.
This is true. But in Addis, I didn't walk around alone at night. And that was mainly something that was told to me, do not do.
Right.
So I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. That sounds like that. But folks in Lalibela were walking around at night. It just felt more like something you did.
Country.
Yeah, it was the country. And I met lovely people there, and
Most interesting person? Most interesting conversation or person?
the guy, Tesfa, he was the guy who took me around the churches. I like that guy. He was nice. And his storytelling about the churches felt, it was a little bit, he was a little bit of a skeptic when he told the stories in some way. He was a bit religious as well. So he fell in the middle somehow, like having this nice, happy experience about the religious aspect of the churches, but also like, well, the history is kind of like this, and it might be like that. Who knows? You know?
I don't know if this was made up for me, but I understood that a king had gone to Petra and had seen the carvings at Petra, and then returned and then proceeded to do the churches both on the sides. You saw the ones that were carved into the, as well as down. And having been to Petra, I can say that if this is really the story, that he did a better job. No, Petra is magnificent, but these churches were amazing.
I felt like it was, every second in Lalibela I was in awe. I couldn't believe these churches. I couldn't believe that I had walked 2,000 feet up and 32 miles across. Everything felt amazing there. Yeah, these churches were outrageous. I mean, all you have to do is hit your chisel too hard and you break the entire church. I mean, because they're all it's one rock.
Well, it means you do a redesign.
Yeah, that everything there it was just so nice. I wish I could have stayed an extra day.
So another thing that happens when people come back, in fact, we just spoke to one resident who has been back to the location 2 times in about a year or so, in 1 year.
Wow.
Yeah, Korea. Interesting. So,
whoa.
So what is your desire to take your husband to Ethiopia?
Yeah, pretty high.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would definitely go back. Would I stay in Addis? Probably not, because Addis I've fulfilled. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, there was this curiosity about the rest of the country that was really pulling on me, especially after Lalibela. I was like, oh wow.
And you saw ceremonies and things that were not put on for tourists that were happening, whether it was a funeral. But as you drive, did you drive from Addis to Lalibela or fly?
Fly.
Okay. I drove.
Whoa, so 2 days?
Well, we did an intermediary, but yeah, it was along, if I'm remembering correctly. I'll have to ask Nancy, maybe we flew. But we drove for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Over 2 days situation. And we would see ceremonies that were really magnificent, that were not, a lot of times when we travel now, things are done for tourists. So if you go to Thailand and you see Thai dancing, it's in one of the hotels or, some kind of thing like that. And things have been reduced. And that's why I say it's really nice to be there. They're transitioning from the thatched huts to the corrugated metal and block. But it sounds like it was a good experience for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't, everything was mind-blowing. I still feel like I haven't had enough time back or sleep to figure out exactly what just happened. But I would definitely return to Ethiopia, but I think to go to other places, because there's so many different cultures in Ethiopia that I'd like to visit. But I think the thing that I really don't like doing is thinking about, because I wrote in my blog, there was this woman at the yoga studio, she said, do you want to go down south on this tour? And there was this thought in my mind, like, oh, that would be exciting. But then I thought, I'd have to clear with you guys first. And then secondly, I don't want to go for like 2 days to go on these weird people watching. Like, this is so weird. So that sunk in after I had spoken with her and she showed me the itinerary. Going to look, you can go see some animals like the zebra and stuff, but this is the way she spoke about it almost.
That's why we like to have people stay put and they kind of get a vibe of of where they are. We will prevail upon you to help us program in the future, because now you have a lot of really valuable information for us.
Yeah, I think that I have. Addis changes every second. This is one thing. I will say, like like Africa Jazz Village is definitely closed, and you had to like get down with people who knew about it to know that, because it was a little murky as to whether or not it was closed. Who knows? Jazzamba burnt down when I was there, so a lot of the jazz stuff that was going on just like evaporated overnight. It was just gone. Crazy. And then this place, Handika, that place I hope doesn't go.
Okay, well, we're going to save that for next talk.
Okay.
But it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for Olivia, Bachi, and me, thank you.